Mark, you mentioned after Saturday's game that you know more the day after with Jalen, and obviously a couple more hours since then. Just what's the latest update on him and his status going forward?
Yeah, so he was in some pain yesterday, and so we're kind of doing consults, and I was hoping that he was going to wake up yesterday morning and just feel perfect, but he didn't. So we'll kind of move forward. That I think we have a meeting today at 4, and maybe see what kind of game plan we can put together.
We didn't get a chance to ask about JQ. I know you dressed up before the game, but just what is his status right now? And
yep. So
chance he plays Wednesday, or is it going to be a wait and see longer than that?
So he has progress. He has made progress, feeling better. We did some more testing, and so that's an ongoing thing too that we're going to probably figure more about in the next couple of days. So as we kind of do consults.
Mark, along that same vein, it looked like Trent checked in at the end of the game there, and then was out there for just a few seconds. But kind of limped off. Is he all right? What kind of happened there?
Yeah. So the report on him is that he is good. I want to make a joke about it, but I'm not going to. He just banged knees when he was on the floor.
With JQ and Jalen, how difficult is it as a team to try to get in a rhythm and get some chemistry there when you have such two important pieces that are kind of in and out and now questionable about when they might be back?
Well, it's been a challenge, not unlike every team faces, right? So it's not a unique challenge in the sense of every team is facing it, but it is a challenge trying to establish an identity, mostly because those two pieces are very unique to our team. Jalen Lowe brings something to our team that nobody else brings to our team, and JQ brings something to our team that nobody else brings, and they're both important parts of it. So it's not like we just move on to the next guy in the same way. We have to retool a lot of things as we move on to the next guy, and so that part's been a little bit of a challenge, but it's the same challenge that everybody faces every single season.
Coach, I wanted to get your idea on how Tego played on Saturday.
Yeah.
To me, he seemed like he popped a lot of steals, a lot of baskets, and it seems like he's a much better player when he's scoring and doing things in kind of the flow of the game instead of maybe in a rigid half-court set.
Yep. He's continued to play good. He's just put, his last, 6 games, the last 4 weeks, I think he's been really good. I thought he was great. Probably what I was most excited about is the .11 DPA, which is, I think, his best. If not his best, it's close to his best. And that's with the toughest assignment of the night. It's really impressive what he was able to accomplish on the defensive end. And I think when he does that, I think what he's learning every day is that when he brings that right stuff to the game, all the rest of the game just comes with it. And so I thought he was phenomenal. But that got me the most excited was that .11 number. That's pretty impressive.
You spoke a second ago about the challenges of getting into a rhythm yourself when maybe guys are going in and out of the lineup. That's something that this LSU team has been dealing with, specifically with Thomas and Reed being out of late. But from the opposing perspective, when you're trying to scout and game plan for a team that has had guys in and out of the lineup, maybe you don't know if they're going to play or not. What are the challenges that come with that, and how do you approach that as a coach?
Well, not unlike our situation, Dedan makes them a way different team. His in high major games, his ball screen, ball handler, points per possession, like a 1.23 points per possession on 30 possessions. That's incredible. That's a number that just reaches out and grabs you. He's also, incredibly effective hitting the roll. So it's a little bit of he's a problem. The balance of scoring and ball handling changes in their team too. Reese off the bench it's crazy to say this because Dedan is averaging 7.1, I think, assists a game. When Reese is playing, it seems like, Max is taking way more of the load. He's averaging over 20 points a game in conference, which is really incredible. And so we think they feel a little bit different, for good or for bad. They just feel a little bit different when Dedan is out there. So you just kind of prep for all the scenarios. The truth is, if their whole roster is healthy, there's going to be times when those guys are on the court in times when they're off, so you're still preparing for the same stuff.
Mark, after Saturday's game, you kind of touched on with Jalen specifically about like, hey, these guys have great futures, but you don't want to take the present from them, but you want to balance the future. What advice do you kind of have for him going through this, and how much maybe do you lean on just your medical background when you kind of try to give him advice?
With J-Lo?
No, with Jalen.
With JQ?
Yeah, no, J-Lo.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry, there's too many.
We got so many, man. I'm telling you, it was like a, what was I thinking
Like all
about?
the Smiths on the football team.
Yes.
Seven.
With J-Lo, there's, listen, I know these guys. They'll do anything they can to play. J-Lo's already proven that, right? Like, he's doing anything he can to play. And so I think for him, it's just, is there a way that I can functionally do this and get out there and contribute to the team? I think that's pretty simple. And I think at the end of the day, it's the same way for JQ. Like, is there a way I can get on the floor and actually positively impact this game? So there are so many things that you factor in, but at the end of the day, it comes down to that very simple thing for both these guys. They desperately want to be on the floor. They desperately want to compete and help, and so they're trying.
Just as a quick follow-up to that, I mean, I know you've coached for many years now, but specifically last year with both Lamont Butler and Jackson Robinson, did that experience of helping to navigate them to play, to not play, to shut things down, to not shut things down, has that informed you at all going through this year with J-Lo and JQ?
The answer to that is mostly in the sense that it just comes easier to my stress level, right? So I'm just like, hey, this is par for the course. This is what we do. There's no purpose in us, stressing or bemoaning or worrying about the fact that we're having roster changes because of health. It's just part of the game. It's just part of the game. And so probably I take it a little bit more in stride, but it's still all the complications that you'd expect that every single team is facing.
How difficult is that in the flow of the game? Like the St. John's game, I think everybody assumed Jalen was done when he went out, when he did. How do you just have to trust the player?
Yeah.
Do you trust D. Wells? What goes into that when you're trying to deal with everything else?
Well, so we actually practice that. In practice you have, and it might at times seem heartless, but it's important. In practice you have times where someone goes down with an ankle or gets poked in the eye or an elbow to the gut or whatever, and so they're sprawling down on one side of the floor, and we actually practice, our performance staff goes and addresses that issue right away, and we move to the other side of the court and go. And sometimes you have moments in practice where it's a little bit scary, right? And so you actually practice that, and that's not a disregard for the injured party. The truth is that all of us standing around looking at them is not actually helpful. It actually is the opposite. It actually has a negative impact, and so so that's part of what you prepare for, and you kind of get used to the fact like, hey, the best way we can help that particular player is by continuing on this game, so if and when they come back, we're still in it, and we're still competing, and we're still right, so we can get there. So I think that's part of forging through adversity.
Was there more of an emphasis to play through? Is there more of an emphasis to play through Malachi a little bit more, especially with JQ out, and have him get a little bit more of a feel? And if that was the case, what did you see from him out there?
Yeah, he was impressive. I mean, what a game he put together. Like, it was really impressive. And I think Malachi actually was begging us to play more through him just based on his early play. We were stuck. You think about it. We were not functioning well on the offensive end to begin that game, and Malachi just saved us on the offensive glass. He's just like, don't worry, guys. I'm just going to handle this, and I'll go get a second opportunities. And then he was so aggressive on the defensive end, especially with his ball screen coverages. Like, you could tell that he was really there. And so when you see a player out on the floor, that engaged and that focused on the game, it's like, all right, hey, let's go. He's inspiring confidence than ever been on our team, so let's milk it. And I thought he was really impressive. They were. They came quicker than they normally have. They came off the passer to Monster right away, doubled down on the very first possession, and he handled it well. First possession when they came to double, he hit DA, and DA caught it on a stampede and hit Colin on the wing for a three. And then in the second half, when they went on him, DA floated to the corner, made exactly the opposite move, and Malachi just made a really calm second read and hit him in the corner for for a great shot. And so I thought Malachi was really good. You know, we were running a dribble action, and one of our players, who shall remain nameless, kind of forgot the back end of the action, and so you actually had Malachi coaching him through it. You see him on film waving at him to complete his cut, and then continue on the play. And then Malachi makes an unbelievable catch and has a kind of hammer tip pass to the corner. So he was really, really dialed in and engaged. And so that's how it is. Like when you see guys that have a flow in the game, you just want to figure out a way to incorporate them a little more. And that's players building confidence in coaches more than it is coaches mandating that they're going to do something.
Does he have a really natural instinct when it comes to offensive rebounding? It seems like he just has his positioning, his timing. It seems like there's a lot there. Was that there when he got here? What did you see it grow?
Yeah, I felt like when I watched him 2 summers ago, I felt like he was clearly a very talented player that could pass. That was the first thing we saw in him, that he could really pass and had some touch around the rim and had some rim protection ability. But I felt like he was a one positional rebounder. I think we've talked about this. And then watching him play this past summer, it was different, man. He had made a huge strides in terms of being a guy that rebounds out of his area on both the offensive and defensive side, and then his ability as a rim protector outside of his area really expanded too over the course of the last 18 months. It's been impressive to watch him grow.
How much will you be leaning on Jasper and kind of this indefinite absence with Jalen, saying this it might be might be your time?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think, we'll see what happens with Jalen if and when he comes back. But Jasper's ready. Like he's gone through a non-conference season. He's worked really hard every single day. He's showing on the court. He was another guy where his numbers didn't jump out and grab you in the game, but the force and the decisiveness that he played with in the game, both on the offensive and defensive end, I was really pleased with it. And so he's ready to go make a contribution, and we need him to. And regardless of the health on our team, we need him to, because he brings a unique skill set. And so, he's improving and growing in a great way.
Mark, before last season started, you were asked multiple times about the importance of identifying like a starting five, and you kind of repeatedly said, "Hey, we care more about who finishes the game." Yeah. But do you feel like with this team, it is a little bit more important to kind of have like identifying the right starting five just because of some of the slow starts?
And it's interesting. The slow starts they're different. So most of our pain in the first halves by a multiple of 3 or 4 aren't happening in the first 4 or 6 minutes. They're happening from minutes 4 to 6 to 8, somewhere in that range to that second rotation, or that blurred between the second rotation and the third rotation, is where in our high major games we've kind of seen a little bit of slippage. And so the answer is that our starting lineup is probably exactly what we always thought it was going to be. It's important, but it's by far not the most important thing. And I do anticipate that our starting lineup will probably continue to change. It's going to change because of health. It's going to change because of guys growing in their role and responsibility. It's going to change because of guys' performance. It's going to change sometimes because of matchups or style of play. We're not going to be belligerent about it and just kind of, pull names out of a hat, but I think that we'll change it. But like I said, it hasn't been the number one pain point for us so far. It's been kind of into that second rotation, or maybe between in the second and one half rotation.
Mark, after the game, you took some time to kind of praise Andre Yelovich. He was a guy who had been earning some BMPs before that. What can you say about not only how he handled just hearing his name called and going into that game, but also what can he add to this team going forward?
Yeah, he was awesome. He's handled it great. I mean, he's just like, he's a pretty steady human being, right? And so he's like, hey, I don't like that I'm not playing right now, but I understand the process, and I've been through this before, and I know that if I just keep working, then good things are going to happen whenever it's time for them to happen. And I thought he, I think he had some sense of the fact that, he could be thrust into that game yesterday, Saturday, and I thought he came and I thought he was really good. we had a couple defensive breakdowns, but his presence, he has a calmness about him. He made pretty good decisions on the offensive end. I thought it was really good, and we're going to need him to be good going forward, just because he has a skill set that can really help us.
Going back to Jasper.
Moving around really well. It's probably the best you all good ball season. Now you have 2 road games. Crowd kind of built off of it last game. How do you do that when you want the crowd the next 2 games?
Well, we have veteran guys, and we've been through it, and there's nothing like playing in front of BBN in terms of just adding emotion and encouragement and just passion to the game, and so certainly it's not the same experience playing on the road, but if we're where we're supposed to be, that shouldn't have much of an impact.
With Jasper, is he somebody after some struggles in the Alabama game and then not playing at all against Missouri? Do you have to have maybe some one-on-one conversations with him just to kind of keep him bolstered up, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I'm having one-on-one conversations with our guys in passing, and sometimes really structured, like scheduled meetings, always, whether things are going great or whether they're not going well. And it's one of the things I've been really proud of Jasper with is that he's been pretty relentless, and the key is, listen, the game tries to do the same thing to everybody. It tries to distract you from the only thing that really matters, which is getting better every day. And we say that so much that it gets boring, and it's like, well, you don't really want to write about it or talk about it, because we already said it 97,000 times, and we talked about it every single day. But that's really the truth. It's just the truth. Is every single day you get distracted by anything, by wins and losses, or by minutes or points or praise or accolades or criticism, right? Every minute that you get distracted is a minute that you're not growing, that you're falling behind, and that you don't have the opportunity to actually put yourself in a position to win. And I've been proud of Jasper. This has been a little bit of a zigzag road for him, like it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be for a freshman, but he's done a really solid job about staying focused on getting better.
In a similar vein, we've seen Collins' minutes kind of go up and down a bit this year. He's gone from starter to bench contributor, and he's obviously lived a bit more life than some of the other, sophomores around the country in his position. So how have you seen him navigate his sophomore year at Kentucky and the strides he's made?
I think the progress he's made over the last year is incredible. I think that he's grown immensely. I think he's got still so much massive ceiling ahead of him. He has a mature approach to this game. He comes in every single possession in practice and in games. Every single one is full commitment, full gas. He's a real gift to have on a team, because he brings it regardless of any circumstance. That's why he's improving so much.
Is 35 threes, is that still a thing with this team?
Man, I would love to get back there. It's we're still trying to find ourselves a little bit, but that's, if we're going to be at our maximum level, that would certainly be a piece of it. It would be really functional for us. Right now there's some other factors that we're trying to manage to get there a little bit.
What did the film reveal about this team's unselfishness, especially on Saturday, after so much talk about ball sticking, so on and so forth?
Yeah, I think what it revealed was that we had some success, and there's so much more on the table for us. There's so much more. There's so much more about, there's this, there's so much more about being vicious and violent and aggressive to get downhill, where you're acknowledging the responsibility to score first, which is the way we play, but you're really starving to create something out of a power play for your teammate. That has been a really slippery, shadowy concept for us to grasp as a team. And when we feel it, and we have, like I've talked about, we have really felt it in transition. Our guys really feel that in transition. That's a space where we're really, we get it. In the half court, for a multitude of reasons, mind you, it's been a little bit more elusive, and that is going to be a ceiling measure for our team. If we can embrace that and understand it and find a way to take that elusive concept and make it something real in our hearts, we have a chance to be great. We have a chance to be great. And if we, as much as we don't, we're just going to be good.
No, I'm not talking about the kind of the most important part of Saturday's game was getting that first SEC win and showing the resiliency you guys showed. But kind of in hindsight, was it also just big that, I mean, not lose in front of that legendary, team that's an hour at halftime, kind of would have been disappointing for them to show up and be like, well, that's lost.
Yeah, I mean, yes, all of those things are true. They're all true.
Mark, you've spoken a lot this season about Cam's potential on the defensive end of the floor. We all think of him kind of primarily probably score three-point shot.
Yeah.
But there was a play in the first half where he kind of spearheaded a defensive stop, got a big turnover, it seemed. Flipped the game, and you could tell he really took a lot of pride in it and joy. Are you seeing that?
Yeah. I mean, he's a .12 overall, through all of our games, and he was a .13 DPA in this game. And with some, he had some challenging matchups and some less challenging matchups. But he's got a length and athleticism and a calmness about him that sometimes drives me crazy because I'm more comfortable seeing guys froth at the mouth. But he's effective with his length and his anticipation on the defensive end. And that hawk play on the sideline out of bounds that you're referring to was really important. I think it's 28-22, and we're just barely trying to find some life in a gym that we started out just killing. And he gets a big time steal and a layup, and it just continues to build on a little bit of the momentum we built. And those are big plays. They're really important. And so he's made a number of those. And I think it's interesting, a little bit on that Kobe Bryant vibe where, listen, we know that Cam is going to make shots. You can't tell exactly when, but he's going to make shots. He's over 30% now for the first time in high major games overall, which is a really good marker for us. But when he gets downhill, which is what he did great in this game, he came out and banged his very first three, but then he got downhill 2 out of the next 3 possessions. And that's where he has a chance to be so impactful on the game and really punish teams. And then throwing in the defensive side of the ball where he's not just a effective placeholder, but he's actually has a presence on the defensive end. That's when he gets special. Those are 2 markers I look for him all the time. It's like, can his presence be manifested on the defensive end, not just be a solid placeholder, and can he continue to get downhill and make solid plays? If he does those things, then he's a star.
You've spoken so much about aggression, getting downhill, and obviously a way that pays off is getting fouled and heading to the free throw line. Feels like that's been maybe something that's been a bit up and down this season, just the success rate from the charity stripe. Just how much of a concern, if that's a concern for you, and do you think there's some kind of data trend that over the course of the season will play out more in your favor with free throw shooting?
Well, so after our first 2 games, I think we were 4th in the league in conference play at free throw rate, and we were last in the league at 2-point field goal percentage, and that's a bad trade-off actually. And then you throw in kind of a smattering of turnovers that come from it, and you throw in the opportunity cost of not MP4Ts, and then all of a sudden it's a really complicated stew. So free throw rate is something that this team has a talent to do, but it's got to be incredibly intentional. It just can't be like I'm jumping up in the air and hoping that the ref bails me out. There's a difference between being like a really intentional, smart, like I know exactly I'm going to go earn this foul on the ground, and it's something where I'm not putting a lot of hope into the play, and I still have eyes to continue the possession and find something better on the deeper end. That's a nuanced conversation, but it's really important for us because we don't want to live there. We don't want to live as the worst 2-point field goal percentage and a top 4 free throw rate. That's not a winning formula. I'd like to have the best 2-point field goal percentage and the best free throw rate. Thanks, guys.